didn't bring you one place to another place. I brought you to myself. You can learn so many things out of it. You just underline this. We will study this other times. Verse 5. Now, if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possessions. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. What is the condition? This is the crust of the Pentateuch. Obey me, you will be blessed. Obey me, you will be a conditional blessing that God put before them. This is repeated so many different things. So there is a twofold condition and a threefold promise. That's a good thing, right? If you obey 2, I will give you 3. God says, you obey God's voice and keep His covenant. What is the reward for that? You will be my special possession. You will be a kingdom of priests, and you will be a holy nation. You know, God gave them the command. Then He is up in the mountain now. You know, so now the camera is towards the mountain up and Sinai, and Moses is with the Lord, and God gave them the commandments. Now we have a few minutes left, and we will try to cover this over here. Exodus chapter 20 is another important chapter. You know, how many important chapters again now? So many important chapters. Chapter 20. But this all, keep that. The 10 commandments. How many are 10 commandments? 10, yeah. 10 commandments. You are not sleeping. Okay. So the 10 commandments that you see over there. You know, this is why God has given them the commandments. You know, it was written in the stone. It tells us that God will not change His mind according to the culture or technology or the things change or the party change. God's moral standards remain the same. That will not change at all. That shows that God's glory and holiness. God is a holy God, and shows that He exposed the sinfulness of man. And the 10 commandments were given to the people to show that the people of Israel is a special kind of people. Then we see that there are 3 kinds of laws also that we see for us to understand. Bible is not clearly giving the distinction or anything, but for us to understand. Number 1, it is a moral law that includes the 10 commandments. The ceremonial law, that the symbols found in the sacrificial system, all the things that we try to explain in Leviticus. Then we come to the civil law, the laws that govern the people. The moral law, the ceremonial law, and the civil law. Then keep that in mind. Moral law, ceremonial law, and the civil law. The moral law stands forever. That will never change. The 10 commandments, 9 of the 10 commandments repeated in the New Testament. Only the Sabbath was not repeated. That was part of a ceremonial law. That is fulfilled. The rest is fulfilled in the death of Jesus Christ. It was not for us. Right? The civil law was given to the people for their day-to-day relationship. That is what we see in chapter 20, the 10 commandments. It is important for us to understand. But in the New Testament, we see that the 10 commandments, as I said, is repeated. In the Old Testament, that we see that you shall not, the first 4 of them deal with the God. How does the 10 commandments go? It says that you should not have any other gods before me, and I am your God, and you should not make any other gods. And the first 4 relate with the relationship with the God, and next 6 relate with the man. Right? First 4 with the God, and just 6 with the God. When Jesus condensed this, how did Jesus say? When somebody came to ask Jesus, which is the greatest commandment? In this first 5 books of the Bible, the Pentateuch, the law, 613 laws that we see, 613 of them, right? But when Jesus, they asked, which is the greatest commandment? Which is the one? What was Jesus said? No. He said, love the Lord with all your heart, mind and strength, comma, love your neighbor as yourself. That goes hand in hand. That is the essence of the law. What? Love the Lord and love your neighbor. So, in the Old Testament, the sin was an offense. It was an action. But in the New Testament, it is an attitude. Now, we'll explain it more to understand is that. In the Old Testament, you have to kill somebody to become a murderer. The New Testament, Jesus says that if you call somebody as a fool, you already commit murder. In the Old Testament, you have to commit the act of adultery, a physical relationship, then only that becomes a sin. The New Testament, Jesus says, if you think in your mind with a thought, you already commit adultery. So which is difficult? Which is more hard? The New Testament. Some people say, oh, Old Testament is so hard. No. The Old Testament, if you break the law. We'll see in the afternoon, you bring an animal and you sacrifice it is all. That's what it is. That is what David said that, I am a king. I can offer thousands. Just order it from treasury, 500 of them, just go. He has nothing to do with this people's money, by the way, right? That's what it is. But he said, Lord, you are not satisfied with that. You are looking for my innermost being. You deserve, you look for truth in me. That's why he understands. So the Ten Commandments, so the New Testament is the higher standard always. But the difference is that the Old Testament, you are doing it, you are performing it. The New Testament, the power of God is living in us, enabling us to do the obedience. And we are obeying not out of fear, we are obeying because we love Him. That is the difference also we see over there, chapter 20. So the Ten Commandments, we pass with that. Chapter 21 through 23, we call the covenant code. The explanations of the law is given over there. When a law is given, that should be explained or interpreted. Otherwise, there is no meaning. So we cover two parts now of Exodus now. What are they? Exodus can be divided into three. First part is the confrontation, the crying of Israelites, the call of Moses, their Passover, their getting out of Egypt, crossing the Red Sea, they came to Sinai. After 3 months, they end up in Sinai. The second part is the consecration, the principles of God, the precepts of God towards His people. So that was given. This will continue. This laws will continue later in the books also. Chapter 25 through 40, we come to the last part of it. We are going to see the construction of the tabernacle. So now the third major part of the book. Then chapter 25, God says that you have to give a free will offering. There is 14 different kinds of materials that is used over there. 14 different kinds of materials. Chapter 25 verse 8, another important, underline that. And God says, what is the purpose of the tabernacle? 25 verse 8 please. Exodus 25 8. Somebody read.
Let them construct a sanctuary for me, that I may dwell among them.
Yeah, here, in the Genesis that we see, God was walking with Adam. Enoch walked with God. Noah walked with God. Abraham walked before God. Right? But here God says, I want to dwell. I want to dwell among you because you are holy people set apart for people. Then God gave the blueprint of the tabernacle. Tabernacle is another 20 years you can study. So we cannot go details of it some other time. We'll study that, but keep that in mind. 25 onwards. When God says, He starts with the inside to the out. But we understand from the outside to the in. That's why God looks in everything. Man looked the outward appearance, but God looked inside first. Then we see that the tabernacle, this is we basically call the tabernacle. This is this is the outer court here, and there is a holy place and there is a holy of holies. So there is an outer court. This is the outer court. This is the holy place. This is the holy of holies. The people, all the tribes, we come to book of Numbers, we look into that. They are living around the tabernacle. So tabernacle is in the middle. It is a way it is. No? This is another crucial principle we can learn some other time. Because Bible starts in the beginning God, the priority. Here says that I am in the midst, that we see. So here there are utensils that is used over here. There's only one door, by the way, to the east side of the tabernacle. There are 2 million people are living. There was no convenience. Oh, from person to La Mesa to drive all the way here, why don't you open something there? No, nothing doing. There's only one way. How do we understand that? What Jesus says, I am the way, the truth and the life. There is no other way at all. That's a narrow gospel. That is the gospel. That is the essence of the gospel. So that's we enter into that. A person entering into the tabernacle, the first object that we see is the altar of the burnt offering. The altar of the burnt offering. Nobody can go beyond this point until they offer a sacrifice. What is that signifies? A person, the altar signifies the death of Christ on the cross. Nobody can go beyond this point until and unless he understands who Jesus is and what He has done on the cross. That's where it goes. Number 2, there we see there is a bronze basin, right? This altar is here. There is a basin over here. There is a bucket, I think, to wash. The second object over here that we see. They have to wash. It is in the book. You can look at the books also. This is the second part. The basin altar and the brazen laver. That is the second thing. So the ceremonial washing. There is a bloody business that is happening here. What are they doing? They are not coming with a 3-piece suit like that or anything. What are they coming here? They come to the priest is the Jewish priest is a butcher on the way. Always killing and all these things happen. Bloodshed all the place. It is a bloody place. What you go beyond, they have to wash, ceremonially wash. And the floor is also not like this. It is in the wilderness. It is open place. So cleansing is important. Then we come to the holy place. There are three things over there. There is a menorah, the golden lampstand. And then we see there is a showbread, the table of the showbread. And then we see the third object is the altar of incense. This goes 24/7 and they are going this. So the holy place. An ordinary person can come with his, with the lamb or the animal, the sacrificial object, he can come here. But only a priest can go over here. Here there is a light is from the sun. Here we see there is a golden lampstand, they have the light. But the Holy of Holies, there we see, we call the Ark of Covenant. The Ark of Covenant. In the Ark of Covenant, you can see there are three objects in the book that we see over there. The golden pot with the manna, Aaron's rod, and also the 10 Commandments, tablets of the 10 Commandments. Inside this, there is two cherubims, two symbols of cherubims standing above this golden box. This Ark of Covenant is like a golden box. These three things underneath that. It's called the mercy seat. When we say that in Hebrews chapter 4, verse 16 and all, we come to the throne of His grace. The people are trying to understand that they can come to the very holy place. But the Holy of Holies, there is only the high priest can go. That also that we read in Leviticus chapter 16, once in a year, only the high priest can go with so many ceremonial cleansing and all the things he has to do for himself and for the nation, then only he can do. This is the basic construction of the tabernacle. One more time. So tabernacle is divided into three parts: the court, the holy, and the holy of holies. Got it, right? Go to the next picture. Yeah, so the court, the holy place, and the holy of holies. In the court that we see, there are two things: the brazen laver and the brazen altar. And the holy place that we see, three things. That is the golden lampstand and the table of showbread with 6